Welcome in once again, guys. We're here to feed that Yu-Gi-Oh cardboard addiction, guys. You guys already know we have Rogue Hero, the man himself. Mr. Hero is here, guys, to bring his opinion on the markets, on the meta, on the ban list. Just so many different takes, guys. Guys, if you've been living under a rock, first link in the description down below. You have to make sure you go sub, because it's all about perspective. It's all about vantage points, and I love his content that, you know, he goes to events, he talks about deck profiles, he talks about the ban list, and just great discussion videos that I believe that we all should be having in Yu-Gi-Oh, especially in these sensitive times with so many things going on. So again, if you want a channel that brings that fresh new perspective, again, from a guy that has been around the block since the very beginning, guys, when you have over 20K subs, it's for a reason. Guys, okay, so we're gonna leave the link in the description down below. Make sure you go sub, guys. Make sure you don't miss out. And again, welcome in a Rogue Hero. You know, any words, thoughts? Yep.
Oh man, I appreciate you inviting me on. I've seen your content before. You do really good work. I'm not really a market watch guy myself. However, with that being said, I do appreciate a good market watch. So I appreciate you having me on once again.
For sure, for sure. You're very welcome. And of course, I love, you know, morphing niches, and everyone has something to offer. So in this case, you know, we're going to take your expertise with regards to the meta and just discussion videos, things going on in Yu-Gi-Oh, and we're going to apply it to the markets and see, you know, and discuss some prices. So we're going to have some fun today. So let's immediately start off with the megatins. This is fresh off the press, fresh news here right now at the time of recording that we're getting Starlight Rares back in the megatins. I've been a proponent of Starlights, you know, a Rarity Collection 5. You know, it hasn't been announced. No one's been, you know, obviously Konami hasn't said anything as of yet, but I think they're going to bring Starlights back in Rarity 5. And as we can see, this is a perfect indication of the megatins, guys, as we can see here. So again, I love the artwork. I always love megatins.
Really nostalgic.
Yeah, right. Usually is one of the best reprint sets of the year, but with Rarity collections, now people are like, eh. But again, we're going to ask your opinion about what do you think about Starlight Rares? Are you going to miss quarter centuries? Would have you preferred they kept going on? Just give us your thoughts about the tins, and what do you think about this new product release?
I personally like quarter centuries because they remind me of my favorite rarity, the dual terminal rarity. I know that's a hot take because I remember back in the day, it was like either you love dual terminal rarity or you hated it. I was one of those suckers that loved the dual terminal rarity because I don't know if you guys, I know you're from New York.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys had those machines, those like little vending machines. You put a quarter in, get like a little generic Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Yeah,
that was, like, really sparkly.
Yeah. You can see it. Yeah.
The quarter century remind me of that. So I'm like, I love quarter centuries, but I'm too cheap. I only got a couple. I don't have a lot of them, but that's my favorite rarity so far.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. So how about Starlights? Do you like, you know, because Starlights are similar to quarter centuries, but without the stamp. So are you going to like those now, those new ones, or, you know?
I mean, I'm not a rarity whore.
Okay.
Me personally, like, if it looks good, if the artwork is good, I'm all for it.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I can take it or I can leave it. Personally, I would just keep the quarter century, but I understand they want to switch it up and things like that. So I'm all for it, honestly. I'm all for change. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, change is good usually, and especially, you know, when we get a new product, we get Starlights now. So that's definitely nice. Definitely something to keep in mind. And I can't wait to know what's coming in here. So I'm excited for this new product release. And again, Starlight Rares replacing quarter century secret rares. Personally, I think Starlights look better. So now, of course, they don't have the stamp, so I get that part of things, but we'll see how this one pans out. So I'm excited. We're gonna get 3 Starlights per tin, 3 prismatic secrets, 9 ultras, and 24 commons. And you get dividers. Some people can choose now to just get the mega packs instead of the metal tin itself. So again, they're giving people options. I really do like this product release, and we'll continue to cover this on the channel.
Actually, how you get 3 per tin is really good, honestly. That's a good value.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, go ahead.
That's a really good. I remember most of the time, like back in the day when tins were like really popular, back when, I don't know if you remember when Solemn Warning got reprinted.
Yeah.
It was like a best of 3. You had to just get lucky to pull it.
Yeah. It was hard, like pull rates back then.
It was only a super rare. So.
I think in the secrets, like when we used to get the tins back then, wasn't it like the secret in the front of the tin and that like the main card, right? I think so.
That's like far back.
Yeah,
so
far back, of course.
Was like 2012, I remember correctly, 2013.
Like more modern compared to the older times, of course.
But yeah, you're talking 2002.
Yeah. You only got that secret.
Yeah.
Yeah, we booming out here, boys. We booming. So for sure. But that's a great point you make that we're getting 3 Starlights per tin. I mean, because Starlight Rares, and that's a controversy in the community in the sense that they've been scarce. They came in core sets, extremely hard to pull, like one every couple of cases or whatever, but now they're going to become more readily available. So what do you believe in the sense of scarcity? Do you like scarce cards like as a collector, or you don't mind them taking a rarity that was like really hard to get and making them readily available compared to that? What do you think about that?
So this is my thing. I'm all for scarcity because I think it brings value and it gets me something excited to buy the product with. However, if it's a card, for example, so let's say, for example, right, Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring.
Okay.
I think everyone should have access to an Ash Blossom. But if they make an exclusive, very scarce, alternate art, one of 5,000 in the entire country Ash Blossom that you can only pull, I'm all for stuff like that. I'm a sucker for stuff like that. And I don't even, I'm not even the biggest collector.
Right.
But I do like unique things. So I'm all for scarcity. As long as it's something that's not too gate kept. That's my biggest thing.
Okay, so, let's just show a couple of examples here for you with these two cards of 10,000 Dragon and then Dragon Master Magia or Magia. Again, a lot of people really love artworks like these, scarce cards like these. So I guess that's what you're talking about, like just collector pieces, hard to get if you have it, you're special in a way. So yeah, I mean, Magia the same way. On that note, what do you think? What do you think about Magia getting a PUR, a PCR, and a Platinum Secret Rare in Stampede? Do you think that's good? Should we have gotten super rares and ultras as well? So what do you think about this card coming in Stampede?
Honestly, I think some cards that's not too meta relevant should be exclusive once again. I know a buddy of mine who's probably gonna pay a pretty penny for that because he's a big dark magician kind of guy. And he was looking. I know a bunch of people who was looking for that the original Magia. So I'm all for reprints and I'm all for exclusivity, especially if it's something that's like you can't really put it in your deck because it's not that good.
Right.
But it's something that if you pulled, you're like, okay, I pulled this card. This is dope. It's going in the collection. I think Yu-Gi-Oh needs stuff like that to compete with Pokemon in the long term because we don't, outside of like well, at least to my knowledge, outside of like the original like Legend of Blue-Eyes like stuff, if you got it like really meant, we don't really have a lot of exclusive stuff like that outside of like YCS cards and like really rare things that the average Yu-Gi-Oh player won't know about. Like because I'm technically the average consumer base when it comes to like collecting. So if I pull that, like, oh, this is dope. Let me look it up on TCG Player.
Right.
Oh, it's expensive. Let me put it in my bolt binder and just let it sit for a while, and maybe it'll go up.
Yeah.
But for like a player, but for like a collector, it's kind of like, well, maybe it's kind of hurting the value of the original stuff. But I'm all for like exclusive high rarity stuff.
I love your take. I love your take, especially now with these rarity collections. There's collectors out there that thought that most of these high-end cards were safe. And now they're realizing, yes, these max rarities are still max rarities. They're still scarce. But now with Konami, you just don't know anymore. They've changed their reprint cycles. And now cards that used to be impossible to get and wouldn't get reprinted, now you're starting to see reprints for those cards. So it does hurt the pockets of collectors. But I also agree with Rogue, the fact that just give us options. If Rogue likes Quarter Century Secret Rare Magia because he likes the exclusivity, the scarcity, and just owning a piece of Yu-Gi-Oh history in that sense, let him have it. But then he's a proponent of also having alternative prints for those people that just want access to the card, like he mentioned with Ash. So great, excellent take with regards to that. So before we move forward into just the YCS Houston and the competitive scene, I just want your take. Maybe just briefly give us a couple of minutes and just let us know your story. When did you start Yu-Gi-Oh? I see, that you go way back, and just why you love Yu-Gi-Oh and what brought you into it.
Honestly, man, just like, I don't know how old you are, I'm 35, but like just like a lot of
we're
people
around the same
in our age, pretty much in our age group. Like I started when the anime came out. I was like 11 or 12 when I saw it on Kids WB back in the early 2000s, and I instantly fell in love with it. My first love is Beyblade. That's like a whole other topic.
Okay.
I still play with my son now with tournaments and stuff, but like as far as Yu-Gi-Oh, Beyblade started my competitiveness.
Wow.
When I saw the Yu-Gi-Oh anime, it added more of a creativity because it had the local scene, and it was something more realistic where Beyblade got like monsters when they got their spin tops. Yu-Gi-Oh was like, it was a physical card game I can actually go play, sit down, and kind of do something similar to the TV show. And I remember my first pack from back in the day. I was with my grandparents going to GameStop. A lot of people don't know GameStop used to sell OCG packs before the actual TCG packs came out.
Yo, that's crazy.
I remember pulling a Ultimate Rare Blue-Eyes White Dragon. And for the longest, I'm like, did that card really exist? Because people didn't believe me. They were like, there's no Japanese Ultimate Rare Blue-Eyes White Dragon. So I was recently watching a Team Sam video, and he was at like some shop out where you're at in New York.
Right.
they had a copy of that card. Apparently, it's like $500 to $700. And I'm
That's
like,
crazy.
holy crap! If I still had that card from back in the day, I mean, it would have been damaged throughout the years for sure, but it probably still be worth a couple $100. So,
Right.
but yeah, after I bought that pack, you know, I
Mhm.
got my friends involved into the neighborhood in the Yu-Gi-Oh. And I remember I went to my first locals. They were advertising on TV in Chicago, like, "Hey, Yu-Gi-Oh locals," essentially. But they made like a little thing on Kids WB.
Mhm.
I went on the internet, found a shop near me called Windy City Comics, and that started my Yu-Gi-Oh history. Went to my first locals, went X2, scrubbed out, playing against people who had all the best cards. Like
Right. At
first
that
two rounds, I
time,
played against
yeah.
my neighborhood buddies, and then I played against a dude that was either in college or
That's
high
insane at that
school.
time, huh?
Yeah, I was like one of the first kids to go to locals back in the day, and yeah, I mean, I did okay. And then because the way our locals worked, since it was like the first of the first, the winner of the tournament get to pick any card out of the binder to add it to their deck.
Yo,
So
that's
I really
fire.
wanted to go to the binder. They had like everything from like Exodia to like Magic Cylinders, like all the broken stuff from back
Those
in
were
the day.
the
So
days, man. Those were the
yeah,
days, man. Wow.
and I remember a dude got banned, not banned, but like he got DQ'd in the tournament because he was running like 3 copies of all
Let's
the Exodia
go.
pieces.
Let's go. Why not play sets of them all? Yo, that's
Right. And everyone was like, hold on, you can't do that. And he got DQ'd. But it was a good time, though.
Yo, DQ'd since the old days, huh? Poor kid. He didn't live to fight another day, man. But what a great story, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, that's after that, the rest is history, man. I mean, I didn't really start playing competitively until I was in high school. I was going to locals regularly to a different shop.
Okay.
And then I got into the Naruto CCG. That's a whole nother topic. But that pretty much started my whole card game habits, essentially.
That's crazy.
2012, came back into Yu-Gi-Oh! Started playing competitively.
Okay.
Yep, started the YouTube channel in 2013, and the rest is history.
That's crazy, man. What a story. I appreciate you sharing that with us. And yeah, that card,
Appreciate that.
I mean, it's crazy, you know, going from back in the day. We all go through that, especially us boomers. Like, yo, we were alive when it first started. And if we would have known, but back then it was a struggle, man. Like to get any piece of cardboard as kids, you know, you had to save up or, you know, if an uncle came by and slided you a 10 or a 20, you know, oh, snap, let's buy some pack. You know, it wasn't like nowadays.
That was me.
You know, it's not like
a
nowadays.
Weekly allowance.
Exactly.
I go to my local flea market and buy like 5 packs for like $4 each.
Those were them days, man. But for sure, it was definitely cool to be alive and well in those times and to have those memories. And we all have our stories, you know. So when the first time someone comes on the channel, I always love, you know, to relate to how was their journey, how did they, because we all love the game one way or another. You know, we have each and every single one of us is here for a reason, and we love, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh! And yeah, my story was similar as well. But if I get into that, it'll take forever. The community, I did like a podcast like a couple years ago where I explained everything. But yeah, I come from New York. I live in Orlando now. But yeah. But yeah, from New York.
Like most New Yorkers moved to Orlando.
Yeah, for sure, bro. You already know we chase that tropical vibe. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was great, man. Starting little, same deal. Family pulled me in. Started, you know, with not a lot of cards. I won like some random local tournament where they gave like an iPod away back then, which was big at that time, like when iPods first came out too. So just everyone has like their own little experiences. So I appreciate you sharing that with my community. Of course. So on that note, again, YCS Houston, H-Town. I mean, Rogue was there. Shout out to V. He was there as well. You know, I met Rogue for the first time there, and V is a great dude. You know, he top 32 at this event, and Rogue also participated as well. Me, I was just trading on the floor, but it's fun. It's always fun to see people out there like Rogue, V, and other Yu-Gi tubers and things of that nature. You know, that's what I love about YCS is that they bring together a lot of the community, you know, to those big events. So yeah, it was fun being out there. So before we get into actually the competitive scene, just let us know a little bit about H-Town. By the way, you actually have, if I'm not mistaken, a vlog here, guys, so you should go check that out. Look at that, just 2 days ago already, 2.5K views. You got to go check the vlog out. Me in the future, I need to do one of these.
Check it out.
I'm slacking, but go check it out, guys.
It's fun. Vlogging is fun, man. Vlogging is fun.
For sure. I just
a little
need to
uncomfortable in the beginning.
Right. Yeah, I need to get used to that for sure. But let us know. What do you think about H-Town, the deck that won, Memento? You know, your personal experience. Just let us know what you think about YCS Houston.
So YCS Houston was a blast, man. I personally made day 2. Didn't top. I had an X2-1 record, and then first round of day 2, I just got raffle stumped. I drove my opponent. He called by it. He went full combo. I couldn't break his board, so we went to game 2.
Wow.
Game 2, I bricked 2 cross-out detonators, node, and perm. I'm like, Yep, this is how it ends.
And what deck were you playing?
Shark Ryzeal.
Yo, okay.
A deck with 20 starters, literally 20 starters. Can't open up a starter, but you know that's Yu-Gi-Oh. It'd be like that.
Yeah, that's rough.
I had a blast though. As far as Memento winning, I did not predict that deck winning at all. The deck's really good. I was kind of low-key scared of it. I played against, so I did up and prep for Houston. I was doing like 2 to 3 hours a night on Duel and Book, leading up to Houston. So I played against the deck a few times online, and I knew the power behind it. I'm like, well, this deck probably a top. I didn't see it winning.
Yeah.
But the guy that won, his list is solid. Droplet is really good for the Ryzeal matchup, because Detonator can really crap on that deck, because if you make a board with Detonator, full Ryzeal combo, especially with Abyss Dweller, it can't beat you, because they'll literally just Detonator pop. Every time you use a Memento effect, you Detonator pop their monster, and they're cooked, unless they have like a response like Droplet or something like that. So I could definitely see why the guy ran 3 Droplets and did well with his list, as well as citing 3 Drows, 3 Perulia, just to make sure that those Ryzeal players can get off the Detonator and just lose. So I'm not surprised, man. Shout out to bro. He put a lot of hard work in his deck list. I don't know if you know him. I think he's from New York as well. So, but
yeah,
congrats to him, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know him personally, but after seeing this list, I really like that he combined Goblin Bikers in here, because basically he had like 2 decks in one. So depending, he could morph based on his matchup, be like, okay, I'm playing Ryzeal, let me focus on the Goblin Bikers, or I'm playing this X deck or that. Okay, Memento's gonna be the main play. So that was just very, very good, man. Honestly, in my humble opinion, that was very well by him. You know,
beat my buddy on stream. That sucks.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
My buddy was playing Mimighoults.
That's crazy that he was playing Mimighoults, you know, because that's a deck that everyone has forgotten about. And then that you made day 2, that's pretty impressive, man, honestly. So, I mean, congrats to that in the sense, yeah, we all want a top maybe win or whatever, but, you know, making a day 2 out of YCS where there's 1,400 plus people is not easy peasy. Like you said, it took a lot of grind, a lot of work, a lot of time put into your craft. So, you know, on to bigger and better things. Are you going to Providence or not?
Nah, I ain't rich. I tell people, like,
I feel you.
I had the money. I mean, I keep it real, man. I'm not gonna sit there and say, "Oh, I'm rich." No, I'm not rich, bro. Like, bro, this trip was honestly like a vacation to me, because I've always wanted to go to Houston. So
that's awesome.
I've never had authentic Texas barbecue. That was my main goal.
Right,
I'm glad low-key kind of glad I scrubbed out Sunday, because I definitely went to go get some authentic Texas barbecue, and it was fire.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Down there,
I was very happy with that part.
For sure.
Yeah, it definitely hits different. Like, we have good barbecue up here where I'm at, but nothing like Texas.
Right. It's just a special.
It's hard to explain unless you
have to taste it. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
No, I mean, again, them yellow planes, if it makes sense, I try and make those, to get to those events, because some of those flights are cheaper, at least here from Orlando. But I get it, man. It takes money, to go to these events and stay out there and all that good stuff. But Nats, maybe Nats is near you, Nats.
Oh yeah, Nats is next door to me. I'll definitely be there for you. Like, I try to make at least 1 to 2 events a year. Nats, if I get my invite and I ain't working, I'm definitely going.
Right.
This year I'm going for sure, because it's literally a 3-hour drive for me. So
for sure. That's gonna turn out great then.
For Rhode Island, that would be like another $1,000 out of my pocket.
Yeah, nah.
Like, if
it's
I
kind of
can afford it, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel totally get it. But yeah, Ryzeal, again, it's a deck that you actually piloted, not pure in this sense, but a lot of people were playing Ryzeal, either Sharks, some Mitsubudis, like I like to call them, other people pure. So what do you think, Ryzeal? Of course, this list, it was pre-ban list, but even post-ban list, with 7th Tachyon, 7th Ascension, what are your thoughts about Ryzeal as a competitive deck post-ban list with the hits it got?
Post-ban list is noticeably a lot weaker until Alliance Insight. I will say, I went to locals on Tuesday, my first tournament of the season. I finished X1.
Okay.
I lost against a troll deck, which was Trickstar Hand Loop. He hand looped me twice, and he drove me twice in game 3. He just opened up the draw all 3 games. I'm like, well, I guess you win.
Right.
But I won on out from there, beating like Blue-Eyes, and the other, like, beating like White Forest. And I think the other guy was I forgot what the other deck was. You got to see the vlog to check it out. But like, I beat pretty much all relevant decks after that. So Ryzeal is still good. You have to play it like really conservative now. You can't just go through your combos, because like, after you go through your first combo line and search out your other Ryzeal names, you notice like, damn, I only got like 2 names left in deck, if at all. So you really got to be focusing on thinking ahead with your Ryzeal cross to recycle all your names. And in my current list, I'm running Daigusto Emerald to just cycle more stuff back to draw, so that way I won't have any just won't have any dead Ryzeal names I can't combo off with. but it is noticeably weaker. I will say the Mitsurugi build seems to be better, but I do know with Bonfire going to 1 and all the names going to 2, Mitsurugi and the Ainsmith build took hits in a slight way. And a guy that went to my locals who pilots the Fiendsmith build really well, he scrubbed out, and he was picking my brain on a pure build because he said the Mitsurugi build just kind of felt a little lackluster with the lack of the names and the 1 Bonfire. So I think the deck overall, to wrap up my thoughts, is a really good deck still.
Okay.
It just takes the right build. I think pure is the good build to go. Like I know Thrift Gaming was advertising a build that like draws 7, like if you combo off the first turn, and it's real like you have to combo and not get hit with roll, but like at the end of the day, you're drawing 7 and setting like 5 back row, and like that goes off, you're just gonna win.
Right.
But it is also a pure build, so I think pure is the way to go because of Tachyon.
Okay.
But the format's still open and it's gonna change literally next month, so I'm not putting too much thought into the format just yet.
Okay.
I'm just gonna rock out with pure for now and go from there. But I think Mitsurugi will be good because apparently if those leaks are real with the Mitsurugi stuff, that deck's gonna be real nutty. And I kind of low-key don't like everything it can do because like I may know Mitsurugi tributes himself, he brings himself back, he blows up a board, he forces your opponent to either pitch a card out of hand or negate it. It does so much. And in a slower metagame like this where everything is so tit for tat, it's really powerful, honestly. And I think cards like, to go to the market watch, this is my competitive part, I think cards like Mo Charmy Perulia is going to go up in value, even like the reprints, because the Mitsurugi deck, if that's the best deck of the format going into Nats, everyone's going to want at least 3 copies of Perulia for their side deck.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great take. As we can see here, Perulia, I mean, you mentioned that's a great analysis, you know, competitive analysis. That's why, guys, you got to make sure you subscribe, man. You just heard the man
Appreciate
just
that.
go through, you know, his personal experiences, actually day 2ing in a YCS. You definitely want to take this advice and make sure you're ahead of the game. You know, he mentioned Mitsurugi's definitely something that you should be looking at, as we've discussed on the channel. And then Perulia, his personal pick in a way, you know, something to keep in mind that this hand trap is 29s, 30s today. They could easily be 40s, 45s and beyond, you know, just off hype, even for the cheapest ones, the ultra rare, just because they're short printed and scarce. So definitely make those considerations. So amazing take, amazing mention of Emerald, maybe a card that we should be looking at post Stampede release. Not right now, not pre-release, not, you know, not day 1, not early, but once these platinum secrets go down a couple of more billies, and then also the quarter century maybe comes back down into the teens, or maybe even single digits, we'll see. Definitely a card to pick up based on Rogue's take right there. And then 7 Tachyon, like he said, a card that everyone's going to use. You see a V-shape recovering off the lows here. Just the demand, exactly like Rogue said, people need it now post you know, banlist and heading into Alliance Insight. So definitely one that you want to consider before 75s and beyond. And then Ascension actually getting the reprint, as you guys can see here in Stampede. So pick your choosing. Not just yet, I would be waiting on this one because we have many different rarities, so you could get the cheaper prices maybe a couple of days post release or a week or 2 down the line. So great analysis when it comes to Ryzeal. When it comes to Maliss now, again, Maliss, there's a lot of controversy in the community, at least initially, you know, with Jewish Room coming to 1, people believing that now they'll use other bestials like Saranir and just up the count of some of those other bestials. And then obviously Underground and Dormouse and White Rabbit just getting those hits, those what seem subtle hits, like, okay, from 3 to 2, at least it's not 1, at least it's not banned, but it affects, like, you know, the grind game, the consistency, the long matches, you know, just having that less extra copy, you know, to play with. So again, of course, we're talking about YCS Houston. It was a YCS pre-ban list, but post-ban list plus base what you face and things of that nature. What's your opinion on Maliss and how it will continue to perform, especially post-Alliance Insight?
I think post-ban list right now, it's a same thing like Ryzeal, noticeably weaker.
Okay.
A lot of Maliss players locally, just one guy I know, he's playing it with the MathMech engine. He said it does okay, but he didn't do too hot. But I did play against the MathMech build online, and that cooked me when he did the MathMech circular combo. However, I just think them losing D-Shifter and having less names makes them more prone to getting hurt with like an Imperm or a Veiler if they don't open up their extra traps. But like how you said, post Alliance Insight, it's gonna be nutty. Based on OCG results, like the deck, even though the deck is pretty much at full power over there,
right.
When they get that new support, that new cyber support, it's gonna raise the ceiling of the deck a lot, and it's gonna make people a lot of mad.
Yeah.
But I'm glad. I was just actually watching a Joshua Smith video
Okay.
prior to coming on here with you, and
All right.
he was talking about like how Maliss right now is really weak, but post Alliance Inside the deck is really good, and I agree with his statement that like I'm glad things like the extra that got hit a little bit, like what's that one card, the one that says you can't special summon, the one that says you can't special summon from the extra deck, or sorry, special summon monsters can't use their effects, the Nightmare Griffin.
Oh
Nightmare
yeah,
Griffin getting banned.
Yeah. Griffin
That
got banned.
hurts the deck. That hurts the decks locking out a lot. So now you ain't gotta worry about that play anymore. But they can still do a lot of stuff. So I think it's still gonna be a good deck right now, even good for locals. Like it just same thing, you know, draw the Lancia, you're good to go. But having less names makes them more bricky.
Okay.
And I noticed online a lot of Maliss players move back to the Allure Darkness build where everyone could. Yeah, right there. Yeah, I noticed some people weren't even on that at one point. But now online, I feel like everyone's on it in threes. But I know there was a good point where everyone was on doing the pure. It was Maliss with like the kind of like the build that runs like the Fiendsmith engine with the Biscuits and all the Biscuit package, things like that. So I think they're gonna get creative, but I don't play the deck, so I mean, there's only so much I can really talk about.
Right. No, I mean, to me, that's an amazing take again, because there's a gap zone that Rogue is talking about. You know, the next couple of weeks, 3 weeks before we get Alliance Insight. You know, again, people are going to be playing around trying to fill the voids of the hits and things of that nature with other engine, like you mentioned, more Bestials, maybe Fiendsmith, maybe, you know, more Allures. But again, the real change, like he mentioned, comes post Alliance Insight, and that is the key. That many people, too many people, in my opinion, they're focusing in the short term on the right now. Oh my God, now I got hit. Oh, the deck is hurt. It's not working. We don't have shifters, and you know it's not good. And I'm going to locals, and I'm getting destroyed. Yeah, but give it a couple weeks. When that new support comes out, all of a sudden this deck goes from, you know, being hit, being this, being that, to being in the forefront again of the meta, guys. So again, this is just a small gap zone. So I definitely agree with Rogue's take right here. So definitely make those considerations. And then market-wise, I mean, these card prices have been going down a tad bit. Just because, you know, White Rabbit, we see it in the 22, 23s. You know, Underground, we see it in the teens, high teens, around 19. So again, nothing too crazy. Maybe they're down $4 or $5 thanks to those hit. But I believe it's a great time to pick those cards up, as Rogue said, heading into Post Alliance Insight. Once the deck truly comes back and gets that power that juice it needs, you know, post ban list. So definitely make those considerations. And then one of the other top decks was Mermail, of course, getting hit, as we can see here in the ban list, you know, just via Dweller and Shark going into double toads and all that craziness. It can still go for the hand, but again, pre-ban list, it was top 4 at YCS Houston, cracking through. So post ban list now with the loss of the, you know, double toad play right here. What do you think about Mermail? Still going from the hand, going for the hand, still good enough? I mean, do you think this deck will continue to compete post-ban list and also post-Alliance Insight?
I think it evolves. Not to glaze Joshua Smith, because he actually talked about this in the video as well, and I actually had an experience with it personally. He talked about how the deck can potentially turn into like a Ghost Sack and OTK deck. And ironically enough, I ran into that at locals on Tuesday. It was a guy who's been playing the deck for a while, but he also plays Maliss as well.
Okay.
And his build was literally on like Book of Eclipse, Regakis, full Mermail, spamming. He let me go first. I thought it was on Tempi, but it was on Mermail. And I'm like, okay, this deck can do good. And the only thing that saved my ass in those games was Star League and Ryzeal. So if you guys are a Ryzeal player, make sure you're going for Star League on your inboard 99% of the time, because it helps a lot with the targeting effects and everything like that. But if I didn't have that Star League, I would have got cooked. And like it would have been bad, because Mermail was just too good at times.
So
too good. But
which
yeah.
was it again? So I could look it up here. Which was it? Star League Blast Dragon?
It should be the most expensive one. The one that protects from targeting.
Is it this
one? That one.
Okay. So yeah, there we go.
Like
that's
like a staple in the Ryzeal extra deck now, because like you need that to like protect from like the board breakers, the Metatronuses, especially to protect your detonator. But yeah, Mermail, honestly, that deck's good.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great take.
Honestly.
Yeah, look at that. It says, while this XE summon card is on the field, your opponent cannot target monsters you control with 2,000 or more attack. So definitely great to prevent your cards being targeted. And great take, you know, with morphing and changing into more of an OTK deck, maybe playing some board wipes, maybe, you know, Book of Eclipse just to get over certain boards. So, you know, I like that take. So yeah, the deck continues to be good. It continues, you know, to be competitive. So definitely make those considerations during this gap zone, even until Alliance Insight, and also post Alliance Insight as well. And just like Rogue said, definitely a card you want to consider. This card actually has a couple different versions here, just very quickly, just to show these. You have the purples and the greens and all this, which are cheaper. Just get access to the card, because the card is just very good, and it'll continue being good moving forward. So of course you do have the high end, the OGs, you know, but if you're on a budget, just make sure you have access to this card. So don't let these, you know, Billy and some change cards become 3s, 4s, 5s down the road, and then you find yourself paying a premium. Then we have here Fiendsmith Primite Blue-Eyes. Again, this deck top 16 at YCS Houston, also making moves, making plays. A lot of people, you know, see, oh, Ryzeal got hit, especially these next 2-3 weeks. Maliss got hit. Those are weaker, so we expect, you know, Blue-Eyes essentially, you know, skims through. Now no Dueler, so being able to make more plays in the graveyard and things of that nature. So how do you think Blue-Eyes, again, during these next 2 to 3 weeks post-Banless and then post-Alliance Insight, is going to fare against the current meta?
So Blue-Eyes still struggles with Detonator, and Detonator is still a real card.
Okay.
As far as post-Alliance Insight, Ryzeal just has access to Star Ryzeal, which gives you access to the field spell a lot quicker, which can hurt some of the Blue-Eyes graveyard effects and things of that nature. But the deck is still good. If the theory is correct in the Yu-Gi-Oh community, I don't know if you heard this rumor in your area, but everyone's pretty much saying that Konami pretty much wants Blue-Eyes to win Worlds again.
Yeah,
and in the OCG and the TCG, Blue-Eyes is like one of the decks that didn't really get hit. It's a solidly good deck, but they call it Brick Eyes for a reason, because the deck can brick a lot. However, when it doesn't brick and it goes first and gets to play, it's just as toxic as Ryzeal and Maliss, because literally they recycle their Primate Drill Beam every turn, which is an infinite Omni Negate, and their Primate monster recycles himself as well, as long as you have a normal monster in graveyard. So I think Blue-Eyes is a little obnoxious. I can see it getting hit in the distant future, maybe not now, but in the distant future. The deck's really good, but it has its flaws, and those flaws can be the difference between you topping an event and scrubbing out. But yeah, house to this player, I think the Fiendsmith engine played a big role into why he made top 16, because that engine is just so oppressive at times. Like, you go Fiendsmith combo, your opponent thinks you're on Fiendsmith Ryzeal, then you start busting out Blue-Eyes cards, and you're cooked.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, in a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's crazy that the engine didn't get any hits. You know, you still have your tracks, you still have your engravers, you still have your lures, you still have Lacrima, you still have the extra, you know, Requiem and all that. So again, and Moon. So it's crazy that the engine is still alive and well. But yeah, great take with Blue-Eyes. A lot of players love this deck. They love Blue-Eyes. They want to compete, especially at the local and regional level. And even at the YCS, you're going to get the occasional crack into the top cut right there, as you can see right here. So it's definitely nice to see this 50-card deck. So that's pretty interesting. But Blue-Eyes making waves in YCS Houston. We'll continue to monitor how it'll do post Banless now and post Alliance Insight. And again, on that note, just wanted to touch base on Primite Lordly Load, you know, the card that everyone's talking about going down from 90s to 50s, and right now it's just stabilizing. It's waiting. Battles of Legend Monster Mayhem is reprinting this card, but we're still, you know, a month or 2 or 3, whatever, you know, I think is in June, a couple of months away from that moment. So in the meantime, Blue-Eyes players are going to still need this card. So we'll continue to check into that. And also wanted to mention the ban list. Just, we went through all the decks, you know, post ban list, post Alliance Insight, but just your general take about the ban list. What do you think about it? Did you like it? Could it have been better? Was there a hit that you wanted, or is it perfect? Like, let's just hear your thoughts overall, just in general, about this past ban list.
So when I first heard it, I was at the airport, so I didn't get to watch it live at the convention center. First reaction was like, I was like, this ban list sucks. I'm like, why did they hit Detonator to one? Like,
right.
Ryzeal, okay, so all the Ryzeal names 1 and 2, I agree with, because the deck's toxic. As a Ryzeal player, I can admit it's toxic. So going to 2 is a fair hit.
All right.
Detonator going to 1, at first I was like, this sucks, but I kind of get it. But at the same time, it's kind of like, is it really that oppressive more than everything else when you see things like Memento, Blue-Eyes doing what they're doing with their boss monsters, and Detonator is just, he's Detonator. Like, there are so many outs to it, but I'm playing a meta deck, so I'm biased. So maybe this my bias is kicking in.
No.
But after the ban list settled, I'm like, you know what? I get why they hit it, because it is a little oppressive, and going first with Ryzeal, like, a lot of decks just can't handle a Detonator with like 3-4 pops with the follow up with the field spell that negate stuff. So I can agree with the hits. I'm glad they get hit Malice. I made a ban list video. I said not a perfect ban list, and my main top point I was trying to make in that video is I just wish the Fiendsmith stuff got hit. That was a complete scummy money move by Konami. And they could have still sold engravers if they just picked Engraver to one or track or something. Man, Moon.
Yes.
But the most frustrating thing is when you're dueling somebody, and like I said in my video, I'll be whooping their ass. They have monster on the board, top deck another monster that doesn't do anything into their combos, but they normal summon, bridge into freaking Moon, bridge into like
it's too easy. It's too like just given. Like it takes no extra work. Like, and of course, people can say, you know, I do it, you can do it. That's the beauty of it. But I get what you mean. Like when you grind yourself to a certain point in a match, and then like one card creates all this engine out of nowhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I get that feeling. I felt it, you know, as well.
I think it'll be
I
think it'll be a lot healthier format if they would have hit tracked or engraved one or Man Moon. But you know, it is what it is. I'm not gonna complain anymore. That's Konami.
Right.
We all know this from just playing Yu-Gi-Oh forever. That's what they like to do.
Right.
I would be surprised if they don't hit it after the national season, though. I think that engine is on the chopping block for sure because it is really good. And moving into next set, I would only imagine people will get tired of Fiendsmith stuff when Yummies come out and all these decks like Dragon Tails and things like that. Like, I don't think people want Fiendsmith around because at that point it'd be like another Sky Striker where it's like Sky Strikers just lingered in the meta forever with limited hits, and then I don't even think they even ever got hit really. Honestly,
I think Engage was hit, but now they're unlocked again. So they got hits, but like I know what you mean. Now they're unlocked, so you still feel like they're still here, you know, and like they've been here. So that's a great point. Again, I mean that's. Like you said, these meta decks can make people feel oppressive either in mirror matches or just, you know, when you're going against them and things of that nature. So that's a great point. And like Kashtira at one point, we had enough of it. Then it was Snake Eyes. It went too long in my humble opinion. And then now it's like engravers. There's always going to be those broken engines or deck cores that, you know, go on maybe a little too long. But again, post-Nats, I think Duelist Advance is going to reshape everything. And by then, like you said, we expect a ban list that would nuke this engine, you know, to give way for K9 for, you know, and the other two decks that you mentioned as well. So I definitely agree with that.
I will say this, though. Testing after the ban list release, Kashtira Fiendsmith is probably looking to be one of the better decks of the current format until Alliance Insight because that deck is really good. You got the Kashtira engine, which is pretty much not hit anymore outside of their extra deck. You got the Fiendsmith engine, which is really good. And Kashtira Fiendsmith was already a great anti-meta deck pre-ban list. So since the deck is pretty much untouched post-ban list, the deck is really good still. Yeah. Like it's honestly like you have to go first against that deck or you just lose. Yeah. Because the
Unicorn goes for that one detonator.
Unicorn,
it's too good.
You're cooked.
Yeah, literally. So I mean, especially like because it banishes face down. So no detonator, you know, a Ryzeal detonator less, you know.
The best thing about the deck is budget because the engraver got like a super rare reprint. It's like $6. So
most people, I know what you mean. Like most people already had the engine. So I mean, now picking up new engravers, if that was the missing piece, that's definitely a great take. And then we'll briefly discuss like some of the rest of these ban lists, but before then, just wanted to advise the community, guys, if you want your Billy Bob tokens, make sure you check the link in the description down below. If you want to add that to your collection just for the funsies, make sure you do so right there. And guys, don't forget, we're always doing giveaways on our channels. You know, make sure you stay tuned for the channel giveaways and for our Discord giveaways as we cross 1,000 people in Discord. You definitely want to get exposure as the server continues to grow. You definitely don't want to miss out. And again, as we've been saying, if you live under a rock, get out of that, you know, the bottom of that rock and come over here and make sure you subscribe to my guy Rogue Hero because he's been around the block forever, just providing value. Just look, you can see, you know, vlogs, you have the competitive, you've seen it here, you know, as we've been discussing, just that mindset that how to compete, how to go to locals, how to get better at Yu-Gi-Oh. You want to definitely get exposed. And also them discussion videos are always fire, guys. So, you know, definitely one that you want to make sure you check out and that you're subscribed to. You know, stop slacking, do as you must. Guys, make sure you check out our links, our Discord discounts here, tools and resources for you guys. If you want to join the Discord, make sure you do so right there. And again, none of this content is official financial advice. It's for entertainment purposes only. Make sure you subscribe, ring that bell, like the video on the way in. It would gladly be appreciated. So on, again, towards the latter part of the Market Watch now, you talked about the ban list hits that were mainly around the meta, you know, Maliss and Ryzeal and, you know, Fiendsmith didn't do this and, you know, this happened and that. But now, as to the other hits. Maybe like Snake Eyes coming back to 2, popular, and then Danger's coming back, or maybe some OG prints like Cyberjar, or the little dragons here, the jars, the pendulum card, just whatever you want. Brilliant Fusion. There was a lot of triple T's to 1. So just as a general scope, other than just the top decks at the time, like what, did you love the ban list? At first you said, I was like, trash, this, it hit my deck, it detonated a 1, but in general, like the big scope of it, what do you think about the ban list? Did you like it overall in that sense?
Yeah, it's a solid 7 out of 10.
Okay. All right.
If Engraver or something in the Famesmith engine would have got hit, it would have been perfect for me, but like that's really the only thing that kind of like left me appalled. I would even argue maybe even Blue-Eyes get a slap on the wrist, but like I can understand why that didn't get hit. It's not. So it's the thing about Blue-Eyes. It's a good deck, but it's not OP. It's like really fair.
Yeah, it is.
But I will say, it looks like Konami wants more old school style of Yu-Gi-Oh and modern Yu-Gi-Oh. So for example, if you watch a lot of Edison games, or if you play Edison yourself,
yeah, I do.
It's a lot of tit for tat plays, or you set one pass, activate this, chain this. Modern Yu-Gi-Oh, and I made a video about this a while ago, talking about Konami is simplifying Yu-Gi-Oh. And in that video, I talked about how Konami is kind of like slowing the game down. Like I remember playing during tier format and Snake Eyes format using my hero deck, and the heroes was way fairer compared to those overpowered decks, because those decks did too much in a turn, playing in a turn, etc.
Crazy.
Modern Yu-Gi-Oh, Maliss, Ryzeal, they're good decks, but you can interact with those decks and try to have a fighting chance to a certain degree. And I think what Konami is trying to promote with the current metagame is like, if I hand trap you, you hand trap me, which is why they got rid of things like
designated a 1,
cross-out designator, things like that. And they're printing things like the dominance cards, because like it's bringing back tit for tat Yu-Gi-Oh, where you got to activate your cards at a certain motion. You got to know where to hand trap, and if you don't know that stuff, you're just cooked. And a lot of people think, oh, Yu-Gi-Oh is no skill. The game is just toxic. I'm like, nah, honestly, as somebody who used to be like, Yu-Gi-Oh has no skill, and thinking like, oh, the only reason people top is because they cheat. Because I used to think that stuff too.
Right.
But after going on the grind, playing at locals, watching a lot of videos and educating myself on the game a little bit more, I would definitely say, obviously the cheating and stuff, that stuff happens. Ain't nothing you can do about that. Outside of that stuff, there's a big skill in Yu-Gi-Oh, and I see it all the time. I think some players just don't realize it, because either one, they're like me. They've been playing so long, they don't know how far ahead of the curve they are in front of everybody else. So it's like a player like me who's been playing forever, who understands these rules and chain links, things like that. Then you got a guy who just started Yu-Gi-Oh like a year ago. He's gonna be confused as hell. His thinking and in-depth analysis of what to do in a certain scenario ain't gonna be up part of me or some of you guys listening. So there's a lot of skill involved in the game. You got to know where to hand trap, when to use certain plays. Like I tell you, like the reason why I didn't top Houston or top 32 routers, because I made a big misplay rushing in a time. Now, what I should have did game 2 is scoop earlier, so I can start game 3 with enough time to play.
Yo, that's
important. I didn't do that. I had limited time to play game 3,
you were rushing,
and I was rushing, and I made a big mistake, and I paid for it. So it's little stuff like that that people don't think about that can make or break you from topping an event. And obviously, my deck list was good, because my only losses, I'm saying obviously now, but you guys don't know this if you watch my videos. My only losses was due to time. Like I went into time like three games.
That's crazy.
I lost some time against Paul Cooper. Not his fault, not my fault. We both playing at a good pace, but his deck naturally goes in time. It's a grindier deck. I went into time round 2 and drew with my opponent because he was playing Mimigools, and I couldn't see the clock. And I'm comboing, and then time got called, and I was gonna win. And then obviously I lost some time due to me rushing myself, and I made a big misplay. So things like that happen, and that's the difference between people topping and people losing. A lot of pros that you guys see topping a lot, they scoop early. They don't waste time in game 2 or game 1 rather. They're thinking about the clock, on top of remembering their combo lines, on top of remembering the combo lines to interact in each scenario. So let's say, for example, I'm playing Ryzeal, I get drilled. What do? If I go Bonfire, you're supposed to search Ice Ryzeal. You don't search. You don't want to search your EXT, because if you get hit with a drove, you can't combo off. But if you search out Ice, for example, you can normally summon Ice, go combo. They better have an Ash Blossom, or they're gonna have to deal with this detonator. So it's like little things like that people don't think about. That's the difference between them doing well and doing bad. And there's more stuff I can go in depth about, but I think you get the point.
Right. I love him, man. The perfect word is intricacies, the little intricacies, what people don't pay attention to, you know, and we're all here. Yeah. I mean, at least in my channel, we love the market. Some of us invest. Some people want to buy early, you know, to avoid paying the premium. Some people want to know when to sell. But other than just the market, you know, we've all either been Yu-Gi-Oh players, are, or will be in the future. We've all played the game at one time. So I really love, you know, that advice of things to keep in mind if you just want to get better when, you know, you start at locals and then you work your way up. Just keep in mind those little things. Learn how to play around time. Make sure you know your combo lines and things of that nature. So amazing advice. You know, I really do appreciate your take. And again, Banless 7 out of 10. I mean, you know, those are great points about, you know, the Fiendsmith and things of that nature. I mean, and what I liked about this Banless is two things. One, the community, most of the community really liked it. Of course, not every Banless is going to be perfect. You make great points. And then the second point is the King, man. They released the King here on my channel. I love Masterpiece. A lot of people maybe didn't like True Draco format or whatever, but you know, the King is back, man. They listen to me, Rogue. They listen to me. So we all have.
He's going right into Odeon, I bet, too.
Yeah, your boy playing True Draco Odeons, man. Yeah, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, on that take, you know, to round it off here, just wanted your thought process on Stampede just in general as a reprint product. You know, again, the high end is going to be Full Wallows, is going to be Engravers, and is going to be Sky Crisis. You know, of course, there's some amazing other reprints in here. Metatronus is a good one, Guiding Quests for branded players. I mean, we can go on and on and on. But just in general, what's your take on the high end, the staples, these reprints, maybe the nostalgia part, you know, us being Yu-Gi boomers, just your general take on the set. Was there something that maybe you wanted to see? Or just give us your take on Quarter Century Stampede.
So I personally dislike sets like this, but not for the reason everyone's thinking.
Okay.
So my thing is like this. I personally think Yu-Gi-Oh need to adopt other card games methodology of like structuring their sets. So for example, people who want to play Fuwalos in their deck shouldn't have to wait this long to get a Fuwalos. We should get, I think Konami need to restructure packs. So let's say, for example, you can get the expensive Fuwalos that's like a alternate art Quarter Century 1 of 1. Or you can get the poor man's Fuwalos, which does the same thing, but it's a super rare or a rare in the same pack. I think having to wait forever to play these good cards sucks for people like myself who play competitively. But it's good for people. But also, and I ain't gonna lie, it also sucks. The more I think about it, for people who also want to play competitively on a budget. However, do I like the set? Of course I do.
Right.
But I think a lot of these alternate arts, however, too, is a big missed opportunity for Konami to use for YCS pricing. I've been calling for years to like give us, and a lot of people too, not just me.
That's a great point.
Like, to give us good alternate art prizes for YCS, or things to help people get something for making like day 2, top 2, etc. So for example, imagine instead of having this set reprinted with all these dope ass alternate arts like the alternate art Zeus, alternate art Call by the Grave, things like that. Imagine if those cards, let's say for example, alternate art Zeus was a YCS prize card.
Ooh, man.
You can only get it for winning the YCS. You get second and third place, you get Call by the Grave. Those cards would not only be expensive, people would love that thing. But no, Konami put it in this set because for whatever reason, but I think they can get a lot more out of the community and satisfy us more with the whole Yu-Gi-Oh prizing is bad topic by giving us these alternate arts just in a different way. But is the product good? Yeah, I mean, of course it's a good product. I just personally don't care for products like these because I wish packs and things like that had options for budget players in mind, similar to how they do in the LCG where everyone had Fuwalos on release. If you didn't have Fuwalos, you just didn't buy packs. But the way they do the TCG market is everyone has to go for the chase card, spend all that money on the expensive stuff, and go from there. Which, man, I guess there's pros and cons to both arguments.
Of course,
I'm always on the side of the argument where I think the budget players and players, who don't have a lot of money but who may have a skill deserve to have the good cards. Because you get a point where you get a lot of the same people doing well because they get the cards early.
For sure.
It's kind of like a conversation I had with my buddy the other day when it came back to the money thing. I'm like, the reason why a lot of these guys top and win a lot of events consistently because they have the resources to do so. They have
access.
There's a lot of good players I know locally who is really good, just as good as some of these top players. They just don't have the money. They got a life. They got to work. I mean, I've been through that myself. I was a really competitive player back in the Naruto CCG. I was one of the top players in that game.
Okay.
But coming back into Yu-Gi-Oh! As a no-name, it was hard grinding myself up. And then I had a kid and
yeah,
things happened
family
after
life.
that. So it's kind of like, yeah.
Yeah.
But overall, like, to answer the question directly without my personal gripes with Konami, I like the product for what it does, but I wish they structured the game in a way where we got the reprints on earlier versus later.
That's a great point. I know what you mean. You're not against rarity collections. You just want it to happen. Like, let's say Rage of the Abyss was when Fawalos came out. And then Engravers came out in Infinite Forbidden. And then, whatever got reprinted, what else? For something, no, Suda's too late. So let's say it was Rage of the Abyss and Infinite Forbidden. Like, of course, they need to leave leeway to reprint these cards in the core sets, but you want them like cheaper versions before, not now in April, after the card's been out 8-10 months. You want it to be maybe a month, 2 months in, 3 months, like a maximum time frame. Like, okay, like in between sets, like with the first rarity, like let's say, what was it? Bonanza should be reprinting Engravers. And then the next rarity should be reprinted, like not waiting all together 8-9 months later for you to get, because these are affordable, like having supers and ultras and the cheaper rarities, it's affordable, but you're all about timing. And that's a great point. I mean, it's something that usually we gloss over. No one stops to think about it in that sense, that you're not against the reprints, you actually want them, but quicker. Of course, and that makes sense in a way, to give access, because there's been, me personally, for example, I've never owned a Fawalos. I've never owned an Engraver, me personally, right? So maybe if I went to a tournament, I'm getting Fawalos and I don't have the card. Of course, some people might say, why you don't have it? It's not that expensive. You this and that and that. I just don't feel like spending $300 on a playset of Fawalos if I'm going to go once a month to play locals. It's just not in my mind. It's not that I can't afford it. But no, I take those $300 and do whatever, something else.
Exactly.
We have family, this, that, and the third. But if it would be $5, or 10, 25, 20, 25, 30 bones for a playset, then you'll be like, you know what, man? Let's give it a crack at it. So I get what you mean. And that's an amazing take in that sense. Like, and they've worked before, back in the day when there was no rarity collections, we would have to wait until the tins to see any of these reprints. So we got to give it to them there in a sense where it's happening quicker. But they could, we're always trying to say, they could do better, maybe instead of an 8-9 month time frame, maybe a 6 month. Ideally, it would be a 3, but we'll see how they handle that. So I appreciate your take. It creates for great discussion videos. And then lastly, from this set, this is, Rogue Hero's personal penny stonk of the day. Of course, not right now because we're in pre-sales or the set is just coming out, but maybe a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month in, Extra Hero Cross Crusader was a card that for the OGs were actually pushing up in price. If I'm not mistaken, or was it the other one? Because there's 2 of these, right? I think there's like the other hero Link monster. I think maybe it was that one. But the whole point, I'll let you this one take this one over. Why should people be getting maybe the quarter century if it hits single digits?
So the quarter century and even the super rare. So this is a card Hero Players has wanted foil for a long time. I'm a part of the Hero community on Facebook. So Hero Players, you guys already know that we go crazy. Well, not me. I'm a cheap budget player, but Hero Players go crazy when they try to foil out their decks. So since that mass Hero support got announced in Konami via like their post like a couple weeks ago, I think it's a good card just to have, stow it in your binder, because when that mass Hero support comes out, if the deck is if the mass hero support is gonna be really good and the hero deck can utilize the Destiny Hero engine, I can see this card being easily $5 at the very least. So it's a good little cheap pickup. You're not gonna get rich off of it, but you'll definitely be good trade bait, especially if you get the highest rarity of it. What is it going for now? I can't see it on the screen.
Yeah, so right now, of course, it's just coming now. It's like $12, but basically that's the quarter century, the high end, which is not bad now, but it's early. So 2 weeks in, 3 weeks, you're gonna see this probably at $5. Maybe 2 to 3s, even though it's hard to think about now, and people are not going to be paying attention to. So what Rogue Hero is saying, future hero support, make sure you get access to this link. This is one that most people, the masses, are going to gloss over. Who cares? It's just a $2, $3 card, $5. Who cares about heroes? Then all of a sudden, new support comes out, and this quarter century could go to 10s, double digits, 15s, 20s one day, especially as the high end. And then you do have the budget options as well. You have clean PURs, PCRs. You have Platinum Secrets. So in general, this is Rogue Hero's pick, to have exposure to from Stampede. Just one to keep in mind before, we get that new hero support. So again, guys, make sure you subscribe to my guy Rogue Hero, man. It's been a
Appreciate
pleasure
you.
having him on today.
Likewise,
here.
man. Likewise.
You know, it was fun just looking at the markets from a different vantage point, having a little bit of discussion, you know, with certain topics about Yu-Gi-Oh and things of that nature. So make sure you click the link. If you're still here, you might as well click that link in the description down below, so you can make sure and go ahead and subscribe to my guy Rogue Hero right there. And lastly, any last words before we get out of here?
I just appreciate you having me on, man. This was a fun discussion. I don't mind doing it in the future. You can always come on my channel as well. We do another interview style on my channel as well. Just let me know.
Awesome. I look forward to that. Then let's make that happen, brother. And again, thank you so much for hopping on. It was super fun. This was the first time, but definitely not the last. I love collaborations, especially with pillars of the community as yourself. So again, thank you so much for hopping on. So guys, thank you so much for your time, for your support, and for your attention. Stay fresh.